Hi, my name is John. I'm 40 years old and I work as a driver for a small transportation company in Philadelphia. I want to share a very personal and painful story from my life with you. A story that completely turned my understanding of myself, marriage, love, and fidelity upside down. Perhaps my bitter experience will serve as a warning to someone who is on the verge of making a similar mistake. My wife Sarah and I have been together for 15 years. We got married right after college. At first, our family life was perfect. Love, mutual understanding, common plans and hopes. I got a job as a driver in a good company. Sarah took care of the house and children. We had two wonderful sons, Michael and Danny. It seemed like we should just live and be happy. But gradually, our relationship began to deteriorate. Sarah started to reproach me for my small salary, irregular schedule, lack of career growth. She said that I was a loser and a wimp, unable to provide for the family, that she wasted her life with me. At first, I tried to justify myself, to find compromises, wanted to make her happy. I took extra shifts to earn more. I stayed with the children on weekends, helped around the house. But the more I tried, the more she criticized me. I could never please her. Everything I did was wrong. Soon, Sarah began to avoid me, staying late at work, disappearing at friends' houses. At home, she either silently watched TV or grumbled and picked on every little thing. Our intimate life turned into a dull weekend duty. There was no question of the former passion. She hardly even communicated with the children. She was always irritated and snapped at them over trifles. I increasingly caught myself thinking that we had become complete strangers. One day, Kate, Sarah's mother, came to visit us from the suburbs. She was about 60, but remained a very attractive and energetic woman. Didn't look her age at all. Kate had always been very kind to me, supporting and encouraging me in difficult moments. She sincerely believed that I was an excellent husband and father, that Sarah was very lucky with me. Kate and I often talked in the evenings while Sarah was at work. She asked about my affairs, was interested in the boys, helped with advice. It became easier on my soul. The oppressive feeling of loneliness and uselessness receded. With Kate, I could be myself, without fear of criticism and condemnation. One day I complained to my mother-in-law that I was very tired of constant quarrels with Sarah, of her eternal discontent, that I have no time left for myself or for my sons, that sometimes it seems like I'm living with a stranger, not with my beloved wife. Kate was very upset, said she would definitely talk to Sarah and try to reason with her. And she advised me to rest more and spend time enjoying myself so as not to fall into depression. A week after Kate left, she called me and suggested we go bowling together on Saturday evening. She said that she was also very lonely after her husband's death, and communicating with me makes her very happy and supportive. I was a little surprised, but gladly agreed. Sarah, when she learned about our plans, just snorted and said that she'd better work on the weekend. That evening became a turning point in my friendship with Kate. We had a great time, remembered our youth, joked and laughed like children. Kate was so sweet, relaxed, full of life and fire. Next to her, I felt young, strong, confident. I forgot about the troubles in marriage, about the gray and hopeless routine. At that moment, I felt only gratitude and sympathy for Kate. Our relationship was purely friendly and platonic. Gradually, our meetings became regular. Every weekend, Kate would come to the city, and we would spend time together, going to the park, to the movies, to cafes, just chatting and laughing. Sometimes we took Michael and Danny with us, took them to the zoo or museum. Kate adored her grandchildren and knew how to approach each one. The boys adored her. For them, their grandmother became closer and dearer than their own mother. Sarah paid no attention to our weekly get-togethers, only sarcastically remarking that I had found myself a new mommy. She was completely uninterested in where and with whom I spent my time, as long as my absence did not interfere with her own plans. My heart was breaking with resentment and incomprehension. How can she be so blind and callous? How does she not see that our family is falling apart before her eyes? The closeness with Kate happened absolutely imperceptibly and naturally. Our conversations became more and more personal and confidential. We shared intimate thoughts, experiences, dreams. We opened the most hidden corners of our souls to each other. Sometimes I caught her long, thoughtful gaze, which sent shivers through my body. I noticed how our hands accidentally touched, how breathing quickened from the light aroma of her perfume. An inner voice kept saying that this was madness, that we needed to stop before it was too late. But how can you resist a woman who brings peace and joy by her mere presence? How to give up the only glimmer of light in the impenetrable darkness? One evening, when we stayed up late at my place over a bottle of wine, the atmosphere heated up to the limit. Kate was talking about her unsuccessful marriage, about how for many years she lived with an indifferent and cold person, about the fear of loneliness and thirst for real feelings. Tears clouded her eyes, her voice trembled. Unable to see her suffering, I drew Kate to me, awkwardly stroking her back. Her lips found mine. The kiss from comforting became desperate, greedy, demanding. At that moment, all barriers and prohibitions collapsed. The dam broke. Passion and desire, accumulating for weeks, fell like an avalanche, sweeping away everything in their path. In the morning, waking up in Kate's arms, I realized with horror what I had done. I swore loyalty to Sarah before God and all loved ones, but I slept with her mother. What kind of person am I if I'm ready to betray the closest people for a moment of weakness? To what depths has my selfishness and spiritual blindness led me? I immediately confessed everything to Kate. I said that I respect and value her immensely, that our intimacy was beautiful, but we can't continue, that duty and conscience are above all. Kate was understanding, although there were tears in her eyes. She also blamed herself for seducing her son-in-law, destroying his marriage. She vowed that this would never happen again, that she would do everything possible to improve my relationship with Sarah. And I believed her, because I knew how wise and noble she was. The next few weeks dragged on like a nightmare. Shame and guilt were eating away at my soul. I couldn't find peace. I constantly thought about how to confess to Sarah, to beg for forgiveness. It was terrifying to even imagine the pain and fury in her eyes, the anger of an offended woman. But I couldn't keep silent either. The deception was unbearable. I felt like the last scoundrel and coward. Even seeing the children was painful. It seemed that by my betrayal I had destroyed their faith in love and fidelity. In the end, cowardice prevailed. I simply couldn't break Sarah's heart, completely destroy our marriage. I comforted myself that repentance and fidelity would atone for my guilt before her and before God, that if I were a perfect husband and father, I would earn forgiveness. After all, formally I did not break my marriage vows. It was a momentary weakness, not a full-fledged infidelity. The self-justifications only made me feel worse. I tried with triple force to regain my wife's favor. I gave flowers and gifts for no reason, constantly talked about my feelings. I freed her from all household chores, taking full responsibility for the house and children. I patiently endured her nagging and irritation, swallowed insults. I hoped that Sarah would appreciate my efforts, would become loving and affectionate again. But all attempts to reach her heart broke against a wall of indifference and alienation. Every day reminded me of my mistake. Sweet family traditions became unbearable torture. Joint dinners reigned by deathly silence, holidays and anniversaries that were more like wakes. Even rare kisses and hugs were full of falsehood and hypocrisy. I acutely felt the smell of lies and betrayal in the air, and I hated myself for dragging innocent people into this farce. I completely cut off communication with Kate. She called a couple of times trying to find out how we were doing, but I didn't answer. I simply couldn't hear her voice. My throat tightened from the rush of feelings. I knew I was risking our precious friendship, but there was no other way. Only a complete break could keep me from making the same mistake again. It's been more than a year since that fateful night. What has changed during this time? Outwardly, seemingly nothing. The same house, the same faces at the dinner table, only in the eyes, emptiness and hopelessness. Sarah and I are still strangers, just sharing a common roof. We live like neighbors in a communal apartment, politely but indifferently. And I continue to punish myself for stupidity and weak character, for not being able to save our love. Nevertheless, this difficult experience made me completely rethink my life. I learned to value family as the greatest gift of fate. I began to notice more good things, to enjoy little things. I try to be the best father for the boys, to spend all my free time with them. I dream that they will grow up to be honest and noble people, not repeat my mistakes. I hope that marital relations will improve over time. At least I'm doing everything possible for this. Now, looking back, I understand how close I came to the edge of the abyss. Just one wrong step, and my life would have completely fallen to pieces. It's scary to imagine what would have happened to the children, how Sarah would have survived the betrayal. I still can't justify myself. The secret sin burns my heart. But I humbly bear this cross as a deserved punishment. Why did I decide on this confession? I don't know. I wanted to speak out. Maybe my bitter lesson will help someone not to stumble. After all, in family life, it's so easy to fall into the trap of alienation and misunderstanding. So easy to be deceived by the illusion of someone else's warmth and participation. Especially if there is no loving and sensitive partner nearby, but only condemnation and eternal discontent. So you reach out to a person who is ready to listen, support, give care, even if it's the most unsuitable person in the world. I don't want to justify myself or play nobility at all. There is no forgiveness for me for what I've done, and I understand this perfectly. Let my pain and guilt serve as a warning to those who are on the verge of infidelity. Believe me, a moment's pleasure is not worth the price you'll have to pay. Broken hearts, trampled trust, eternal shame, it's not worth it. Appreciate what you have. Fight for your marriage to the end. If you've reached a dead end, seek professional help. Don't be shy to consult with loved ones. Just don't make rash decisions that you'll regret for the rest of your life. Don't betray those who are truly dear to you for a momentary whim. Believe me, it's better to live alone than with a burden of guilt and self-contempt. And to those who have already stumbled, I can only sympathize. This is the heaviest cross, and you'll have to carry it to the end of your days. It's very difficult to forgive yourself for meanness, almost impossible. All that remains is to humbly pray to heaven for forgiveness. Try to atone for guilt with good deeds. The main thing is to learn from mistakes, not to step on the same rake. Direct all efforts to preserve the family, to raise children, and hope that over time the wounds will heal and peace will reign in the soul. This is such a complicated story that happened to me, dear friends. I told it as if in confession, hiding nothing. May it be at least a little easier for me from this admission, and for you, a lesson and a warning. Live honestly, love faithfully, don't look into forbidden doors, and may God never let you know the hellish fire of repentance in which I'm still burning. Take care of your families, cherish every moment with your loved ones, and don't forget that from sin to virtue is just one step, but its price can be exorbitantly high. Be happy and don't repeat my mistakes. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.